how to draw a paint palette. Welcome to Rain Francis Art for Kids. Today I'm going to show you how to draw this paint palette with coloring pencils. I'll show you how to do this step by step. This is an easy drawing lesson for kids, beginners, and kids of all ages. This is what you'll need for today's drawing. You're going to need a piece of paper. I have my dollar store drawing pad here. It's 11 inches by 8.5. You'll need a pencil. You'll need an eraser. And I always have an old paintbrush lying around to dust off my page. I'm going to be outlining, so I'm going to use my black fine-tipped marker for outlining. And for color, we're going to be using a lot of color today. I've got my coloring pencils out. Now the three main colors, or the two main colors you're going to need, are kind of a beige color or a light brown and a brown color, okay? The beige color is going to be for the palette, the painting palette itself, and the brown color we're going to use for the paintbrush. I'm also going to use a dark orange for the paintbrush. Now for the splashes of paint, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 colors for the splashes of paint. You can use any color you want. You don't have to have 8 different colors. It's all up to you, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to use. I've got a yellow, I have an orange, red, purple, blue, pink, light green, and dark green. So those are all the colors that I'm going to be using today. So why don't I clear off my page and we can begin drawing our painting palette. Let's get all the dust off there. There we go. Now let's take our pencil and we'll draw the palette first, okay? So palettes are they come in all shapes and sizes, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it roundish. And it's got kind of a thing like that, okay? I'm going to erase that right away. Kind of looks like a big fat heart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little paintbrush coming through the palette, and we'll erase here, but I'll just watch what I'm doing here. Kind of looks like an apple now, doesn't it? It's kind of thin, and then it gets a little big at the bottom. And I'm going to erase that line in between. I'm going to be erasing all my pencil marks, but just so you don't get confused. Okay, and now just a little bit of the brush at the bottom. There, just like that. And I'm going to draw 8 circles. This is where I'm going to put my color. There, you can put your circles anywhere you want. But just 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I got 8 of them. So that's it. That's all I'm doing with regards to drawing with the pencil. So what I'm going to do, like I mentioned, I'm going to be outlining everything and erasing my pencil marks. So away I go. And I don't mind if I don't really follow the pencil marks. See, I kind of made that a little longer. Because like I said, I'm going to be erasing them. And I'm going to give that a little... There, just fix that up a bit. But if you're not going to erase your pencil marks, try to follow your pencil lines, okay? Now I don't want to get any marker on me, so I'm just going to take a paper towel. There we go. Because the last 2 drawings I did, I got marker all over me. Because it hadn't dried yet. See, I'm not even following my pencil marks. There we go. So that's all outlined. Now I'm going to erase my pencil marks. Let me just make sure everything's dry. Okay, everything's dry, so I'm going to gently erase my pencil marks. And like I said, I'll leave that up to you. You don't have to erase them. I just think it looks nice when it's all outlined with that black fine-tipped marker. I really like how it looks. Here we go. All the pencil marks are erased. Now I can wipe off my page and start adding color. Why don't I start with the palette? Now this is the palette here. I'm going to color it in this beige color, and I'm going to leave all of the other parts color free for now. I'm not going to color in those areas, just kind of around everything, okay? Did that make sense? I feel like I jumbled up my words there, but I think you got the idea. Now, if you're using coloring pencils, or I should say when you're using coloring pencils, you want to make sure you turn your pencil once in a while so it doesn't wear down all on one side. And you don't have to press down hard at all, because we're going to be adding layers. And by that I mean, what we're doing right now is we're coloring it in once. That's the first layer of color. And then when we're finished coloring it in once, we're going to come back and color it in again with the same color, and that's adding a second layer of color. Okay? So that's a little art lesson for you, but if you follow my videos, you already know that. Don't forget to turn your pencil. You don't want to press down too hard anyway, because it makes your hand tired, and we have a big drawing today, so I want to make sure we don't get tired before we're finished. Now the palette, they come in all sorts of colors. I have one that's actually transparent. It's just made of transparent plastic. But a lot of them are made of wood. So that's why I chose to use this kind of beige color today. It looks like a light wood. Now if you get a little bit of the beige into the brush, don't worry about it, because we're going to be coloring that brush brown, and brown is darker than beige, so it won't show. But try not to get any of that beige into the circles, especially if you're going to be using that yellow for one of your paint splashes. It will show through, the beige will show if you're using yellow, so let's just try to be careful. But if you get some beige into one of the circles, just use a dark color for that one. You know, like I could use my dark green if I get beige into one of them, you know, and it'll kind of cover it up. Don't forget to turn your pencil. You could use crayons for this. You could use markers too. How are you guys doing? All right, I'm almost finished. The first layer of color. There we go. So now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to color it in a second time. And that's, again, that's called a second layer of color. And you're going to see the difference. I'm not pressing down hard at all, but you can already see the difference between one layer and two layers. Two layers, you have more color on your page. And I think it looks a lot better than one layer, but I'm going to leave it up to you. If you just want to do one layer, go ahead. That's fine. If you want to do 3 layers, that's great. I might. I'm going to see how it looks after 2. But I am still being careful not to get any beige into the other areas that I want to leave white for now. Okay, using a lot of beige today. I may have to stop and sharpen my pencil if it gets a little too dull. About halfway done with the second layer. Let me see. I might get away with it, not having to sharpen it. We'll see. I might have to if I do a third layer though. Do you guys like to paint? What kind of painting do you do? What kind of paints do you use? I have watercolor paints. I have a few videos that I did with watercolor pencils. How to use watercolor pencils. You can look that up. I also have oil paints. Those are great. I love using oil paints. Everything blends so nicely. Oh, puppy just got up. The oil paints, I was saying, they blend really, really well. But they take a long time to dry. And it can get messy if you're not careful. So there's my second layer of color. I'm going to just give it a quick third layer just to make sure, you know, if there's some parts of the page that are showing through. Just a quick one. Oh, this is getting low. Can I get a whole third layer done without sharpening? Let's see. There we go. I did it. All right. So the palette is all colored in. Now let's color in the paintbrush. And as I said, I'm using kind of a light brown and a dark orange. So the light brown is going to be for the handle of the paintbrush. You can see how tiny my my coloring pencils are. I use them a lot. So I'm just coloring in that handle with the brown color. And I'm turning my pencil as well. It's not easy to draw when they're this small. So I'm going to do a second layer of brown, okay? I'm just being careful not to go outside the lines. I'm turning my pencil. There we go. I'll give it a quick third layer there. Okay. Now with my dark orange, I'm going to paint the actual paint. I'm going to actually color the brush with that dark orange. It's very similar in color. You could use the same color. It doesn't, you don't have to go all fancy and get different colors, you know. You could use that, you can use a lighter brown too. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take that beige color and maybe I'll just add a layer of beige on top just to lighten it up a bit. You can do that, you know, you can blend with different colors and you don't always have to use the same colors in your layering. So that just makes it a little lighter. Now, my friends, it's time to color in those paint splotches. Take whatever colors that you've chosen and color them in. And if you want, you can do 2 layers of color for each one. And don't forget to turn your pencil. So that's what I'm going to do. 2 layers for each paint splotch. It's going to be nice and colorful. Okay, that's my yellow. Now I'll take the purple. Oh, this tip looks like it's going to break. It's super sharp. I have to be careful not to press down too hard. I don't want the tip to break. Now I'll do a second layer of purple. When your tip is really, really sharp, it's especially important to turn your pencil. That will help you avoid breaking it, breaking the tip. Okay, next up, I think I'll choose orange. Oh, this is so small. I usually have these things. These are pencil holders. You basically, if you have a tiny little pencil, it's a pencil extender, not a pencil holder, a pencil extender. And then you tighten it, and it makes it easier to color, you know, because it makes it longer. But I don't have any that are free right now. I'm using them for different colors of pencils. So I'm stuck with this tiny little orange here that's really hard to use. But I'm going to make the best of it. So that's one layer. Now the second layer. And again, I just want to show you, look at the difference. 1 layer, 2 layers. It really, really does make a difference. And you don't have to press down hard. Okay, the orange is done. Now, how about blue? A little blue. And a second layer of blue. I like to paint, but I think I prefer to draw. I like drawing a lot better than painting. Okay, the blue's done. How about this one will be red here. This tip is very sharp too. I better be careful. Yeah, I like to paint, but I think I prefer to draw, but it also depends on my mood. I notice that I paint more in the summer months for some reason. I like to go outside and paint. That might be the reason. Okay, I'm adding a second layer of red. And I do not go out in the winter to paint here because it's way too cold, way too snowy. I guess if I had, a porch that had walls and heat and big windows, maybe I'd sit on the porch and paint. But I guess that's why I draw mostly in the winter months. Okay. Now what's left? We've got pink. Look at how small this one is. I have a feeling I'm going to break this tip here. I don't know why. I hope not. So far, so good. Second layer of pink. Turning my pencil. There we go. Now I've got the two greens. I've got the light green that I'll put here. Okay, that's one layer. A lot of dust here today. Now let me do two layers here, turning my pencil. Okay, and I've got my dark green here. This tip is very sharp too. I better remind myself to turn the pencil. Doesn't that look nice and colorful? I really like this. Usually in my drawings I put faces on things, but I couldn't figure out where to put a face on this one, so I figured, no faces today, that's all right. There we go. So that's all done. That's my paint palette. I really like what I did there. Now, my friends, don't forget, as I always say, sign your work. I want you to be very, very proud of the beautiful work of art that you just created. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, my friends, and we'll see you next time on Rain Francis Art for Kids. Thanks for watching. Bye.